When the president returned to the White House around 1:20, he entered the Oval Office and was told right then about the onset of violence at the Capitol. From that point until approximately 4 p.m., over the next 2 hours and 40 minutes, the president stayed in the White House dining room, attached to the Oval Office, and watched this unprecedented assault take place at the Capitol. We have testimony from several members of the president's White House staff establishing that President Trump refused entreaties from his closest advisors and family members to tell his supporters to stand down and leave the Capitol.
Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Thursday, October 13th, 2022. Welcome to day 632. The January 6th committee voted unanimously to subpoena Donald Trump, demanding documents and testimony under oath. The panel's chair, Benny Thompson, said ahead of the vote, quote, "This is a question about accountability to the American people. He must be accountable. He is required to answer for his actions," end quote. In the committee's ninth public hearing, the panel focused on Trump's, quote, "staggering betrayal," end quote, of his oath of office and his efforts to reverse the 2020 election, including his role in the events that led to the violence at the Capitol. Before voting to subpoena Trump, the committee revealed new evidence that Secret Service agents in charge of assessing the risks on January 6th had expressed concerns about the rally more than a week beforehand and were aware that many in the crowd would have weapons and that Trump supporters planned to go to the Capitol threatening violence, including that Pence would be, quote, "a dead man walking if he doesn't do the right thing," end quote. One agent described the morning of January 6th as the calm before the storm. The panel also disclosed an email that showed Trump's election night speech was meant to falsely declare victory and was part of a premeditated plan. The committee also revealed that Trump secretly ordered all U.S. troops withdrawn from Afghanistan and Somalia days after losing re-election in order to leave the problem to, quote, "the next guy," end quote. The order was signed but never carried out, which the committee says is evidence that Trump knew that he'd lost the election. The panel's vice chairwoman, Liz Cheney, added that the committee may ultimately decide to make a series of criminal referrals to the DOJ. The subpoena will expire at the end of this congressional term, which is on January 3rd, 2023. If Trump refuses to comply with the subpoena, the committee could vote to hold him in criminal contempt of Congress. If they do, it will then go to the House for a full vote. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court rejected Trump's request to intervene in the DOJ's investigation into classified documents seized from Mar-a-Lago. The one-sentence order turned aside an emergency request from Trump, who had asked the Supreme Court to allow Special Master Raymond Dearie to review the classified documents that were taken during the FBI's search of Mar-a-Lago. In response, the Justice Department told the court that allowing Dearie to review the documents would, quote, "irreparably injure," end quote, the government, arguing that Trump legally had no plausible claims to ownership of classified government material. The 11th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled earlier that 103 of the seized documents, which were marked as classified, should be exempt from Dearie's review. Meanwhile, security camera footage shows a Trump aide moving boxes out of a storage room at Mar-a-Lago before and after the Justice Department issued its subpoena in May demanding the return of classified documents. The DOJ has interviewed Walt Nauta several times, but he is not formally cooperating with the investigation. Separately, but perhaps related, a Trump employee told the FBI about moving boxes, at the specific direction of Trump, out of a basement storage room at Mar-a-Lago after Trump received a subpoena for classified documents. It's not clear whether that employee was Nauta. It's also unclear if the boxes that were moved were among the material later retrieved by the FBI. In New York, the Attorney General Letitia James asked a judge to stop Trump from transferring his business assets to a new holding company amid a pending civil lawsuit accusing him, Trump Jr., Ivanka Trump, Eric Trump, and the Trump Organization of widespread fraud. On September 21st, the same day that James sued Trump and other defendants, Trump's attorneys registered a new company in Delaware called Trump Organization 2, LLC. James asked the court to freeze the Trump Organization's New York assets and install an independent monitor over concerns that Trump, quote, "may be seeking to move assets out of state," end quote, to avoid accountability. Moving on, the Consumer Price Index, a measure of what consumers pay for goods and services, increased 8.2% from a year ago. While the number was down from 8.3% in August and 9.1% in June, which was the highest inflation rate in 4 decades, prices still climbed 0.4% in September compared to August's 0.1%. Economists had forecast a 0.2% gain. The core inflation, which excludes food and energy, increased 6.6% from a year ago, the highest level since 1982. Since a month ago, the measure is up 0.6%. Economists had expected a 0.4% monthly increase. The inflation report puts pressure on the Federal Reserve to increase interest rates by another 0.75 percentage points at its November meeting. The Fed has hiked interest rates 3 full percentage points since March. And finally, mortgage rates jumped to their highest level in more than 20 years. The average 30-year fixed mortgage rate hit 6.92% this week. The last time the 30-year rate was this high was April 2002. A year ago, the average rate was 3.05%. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditas.